everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today, I can already tell this is going to be a very enjoyable, informative, and interesting dialogue. I have with me Mr. Michael Woodward Jr. There's a third floating around there somewhere, but he is an author, entrepreneur. He is a father, as I've said, so much more. But first and foremost, because my parents raised me right, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
I'm so excited to be here, Lana. Thank you so much again. And again, it's just a privilege to even just share this moment, this space, the exchange of these ideas and this forward thinking that we all embody. And I just can't wait to dive into whatever it is that you think is pressing in this moment.
Now, getting ready for today's show, I read in your bio that you are a former teacher. That's correct? Did I read that right?
Yeah, once you're a teacher, once you're an educator, you're always an educator, always. But yes, I used to formerly teach third and fifth grade in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a product of Teach for America. I've taught in endless summer enrichment programs, left and right, Breakthrough Miami. So I really have a strong passion for education, and I didn't really recognize that at an early age.
Well, I hate to cut you off because I think that's rude. But my question is, because the statistics say there's only like 2% of Black male teachers in the United States. So my question to you first and foremost is, after college, what made Michael say, you know what, I'm going to go teach?
Well, let's make sure for our young listeners out there that you need to figure that out during college. You figure that out during internships, experiences, networking, conversations. You know, there's still a part that you have to figure out after college. But while you're there spending mama money, you need to make sure that there is some kind of plan in place that's going to ease the transition for what your end goal in mind is. Well, unfortunately, and that's okay. It's not an unfortunate act of events, but it wasn't rolling out the way I wanted it to. You know, I was a business student. I had my degree in business administration, and all of the majority of my line brothers from my fraternity, some of my closest friends, we all were entrenched in the School of Business and Industry at Florida A&M. Mm-hmm. It was the thing to do. It still is. Mm-hmm. However, you know, I just realized the deeper and deeper we got into business and finance and corporate America, I started to realize that the proximity of my inspiration, you know, with other people, you know, with impoverished communities where I come from, was getting further and further away from me. The more I interviewed, you know, and the closer I had gotten to seeing what it would look like if I were to accept a corporate America job. So that coupled with being the community service chair of my fraternity, you mix a little of that into where I come from, and seeing these gaps in literature, in the classroom, on television, of intellectual Black men within academia, I knew that there was a gap. And thankfully, you know, it took Breakthrough Miami to see that gap, and ultimately Teach for America to be able to tell me, like, yo, you got a lot going for yourself, and let us help you compartmentalize. Let's help you package it in a way that it can transcend others years from now. And I kind of was like, I hear what you're saying, you know. But the older I had gotten and the more experience I had learned from, I started to connect dots.
Gotcha.
It broke my heart because I became the person that I saw in my father so much growing up, being that one of many, or one of few Black men in a sea of many Black students. And I became that figure, and it is a blessing, number one, and again, a privilege. However, that's a heavy burden. And that's a burden that no Black male should have to cover. You know, I can't be the disciplinarian of the school, take everybody's kids because they're acting out, and at the same time teach 28 third graders how to read.
Gotcha.
I can go on and on, but you know, I think it was the Lord. He showed me that there was a greater calling than making $100,000, you know, and
Okay.
there was a greater calling.
Okay.
I took
Okay.
that route, and I bet it on myself and what I could bring to the table.
Now, I've heard you mention a organization twice, Teach for America. I'm a little ignorant, and I'm assuming some of the audience might be. Unpack that for me, please. What is that?
It's a phenomenal program that's set to take students and up and coming teachers, in a say, to dive in head first into the community. You know, just how you asked, like, oh, you used to be a teacher. You know, whether you're currently a teacher or you're a former teacher, whether you're a current TFA or your former TFA, you're always TFA.
Okay.
And I've always carried that with me. But, you know, that program is in place to really help people make that transition and understanding the importance of educational inequity and how we must exterminate it from low-income communities. And to us in that organization, I just kind of want to speak for myself and my personal viewpoints. That is where we begin it. That is where we start. And that's helping to unravel and unearth some of these things that plague some zip codes that we drive by every day on I-95 or on 285 in Atlanta or I-10 through New Orleans. Like, there are so many communities that we'd rather put more of a focus on putting liquor stores and fast food restaurants and really exhausting the food desert mentality that is prevalent, as opposed to showing the kinder side of teaching and what can come about, as opposed to, you know, what you're going without.
Some people, let me say some people, don't understand why there is disparity in the public education system for low-income Black and Brown communities. Can you explain why that process, why it is even is today? Why are we seeing
cheap? They put up barriers. They put up highways through places like Overtown in Miami, Florida, so you don't see these things, you know, and they blind people in a way that, that's not going on there. Critical race theory doesn't need to be existing in books. Well, how else are we going to explain why Juneteenth exists? How can we talk about a federal holiday and not bring up the importance of slavery or what happened well after or at the start of 1619 and beyond, leading up to 2021? It blows my mind, but there's so many people in power who have never been a part of the problem itself. So I don't know about you, but I'm not a dentist. I can't tell you how to fix your teeth. I can't tell you how to fill that hole. However, I can find you a dentist who can, or someone who can. And I think we've spent so much time placing people on pedestals or in positions of power and authority, i.e. our former Secretary of Education, who never taught a day in her life. And I think it kind of boils down to who is a part of the solution.
Gotcha.
And again, I want to make sure we focus it on me and my brand. However, being a part of that organization helped me understand that there are so many people out here who have no idea what our students are going through. They have no idea why many teachers have to keep snacks in their desk. It's funny in the Nutty Professor when he has a drawer full of snacks. But if you go into a Title I school, I guarantee you'll see the same thing, but those snacks ain't for the teacher.
Yes.
It's for the young one.
That's the only food.
Just may not have had breakfast that morning. And don't let them have overslept and they're just getting into class at 9 o'clock. Not how they're supposed to make it to 12. So out comes those Nutri-Grain bars. Just whatever that can keep that focus and that attention, because these standardized test scores are going to happen regardless of if the child is prepared or not. And based upon those scores, coupled with the attendance, will determine how much money many of these schools are receiving.
That's it. And I think you brought that up. I think a lot of people don't understand how well the kids perform on these tests is how the money begins to be distributed to these schools. So I think that's what they don't understand. Now, you mentioned critical race theory, and you're down in Florida, correct?
I am. Yes, ma'am. I'm in Florida.
So
Florida.
Florida just made a big to-do and passed this law that critical race theory will not be taught in public school. And there's a lot of confusion. I'm not in agreement with it, but there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people don't know that it's not currently being taught in any public school system. But how does Black history or Black issues traditionally end up being taught in the public school system?
It blows my mind. It blows my mind because formally, you don't teach the critical race theory. I didn't learn exactly what it entailed until I began my studies in my PhD. It's what we do every day. Mm-hmm. Critical race theory really puts a microscope on the experiences of the voiceless, of the marginalized communities that plague America. The critical race theory provides a lens for people to voice what is happening. We talk about educational inequity. We can talk about housing, the oppressive housing segregation tactics that are out there. We talked about food deserts. This is nothing more than critical race theory. It's nothing more than talking about these experiences that students and families, not just students, because those students grow up still becoming oppressed to a system. What people say, a broken system. The system is broken. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah. This is what is supposed to be happening.
Yes.
So I'm so fascinated with how we will continue to move forward with the incorporation of critical race theory, culturally relevant pedagogy, which is making sure you're meeting students at their level and you're bringing in their experiences from the home, their music, their culture, their food, the way they talk, the way they dress, all of these different things. And you're wrapping it in a way where you're meeting the student where they are. And when we can get to a point where we can teach teachers, Black, white, Hispanic, it matters not. Mm-hmm. But when we can teach people how to see the world and how to see the curriculum through the eyes of the student, I guarantee you, test scores will soar. I can guarantee you engagement will reach all-time heights on both sides of the fence, because it's not just about the scholar being engaged, but if that teacher is sitting down, then in my mind, you are not engaged. You must be up, you must be pacing, you must be in students' faces, you must be whispering, you must be yelling, you must be shouting, you must be giving it your all. Because there are so many students who can't take a lectured approach in terms of the disbursement of information. Many students have to be, I don't want to use that word. I don't want to say coddled. I don't want to say that. But we have to take into consideration where they're coming from, what they understand, how they can take this information and synthesize it and apply it. DOK level 4 and 5. I don't regurgitate what it is that I say. Yeah. Like put it in your own thoughts and show me through your actions and how you treat others and how you'll treat that test that I'm going to give you, or that assessment. I don't want to say that test, that assessment. Because I'm going to assess your thinking and what you gathered from that journey I took you down.
Okay. Now, you just said, or you said earlier, a couple sentences ago, teach teachers. Now, my question to you, or scenario, is you're standing in front of a group of white educators. You're standing on stage, and you're about to teach them how to, because we know that there's a minimum amount of Black teachers, male and female, in the system. So it's more likely that our students of color are going to be in front of a classroom of a white educator. So if you had to teach them for those moments when they're encountering classrooms of full and Black and brown faces, or in a classroom where there's a selection of Black and brown faces, what advice would you give them on effective teaching?
Well, I think we'd have to peel back the layers, number one, and address the elephants in the room. And make sure we come to an understanding that this is going to be a tough conversation. It's not going to be easy. And I also want to state, just because that teacher is Black Or just because that teacher is a person of color, that doesn't automatically put them in a place where they're going to be a rock star teacher to a classroom full of 28 third graders. That's just not the case. Yeah, you're going to get a leg up in a sense, but at the same time, you need to make sure you effectively know how to manage your class and at the same time take them to new heights. And with that comes a deeper level of diversity and equity. You know, those DEI conversations and understanding more so of their struggle and not seeking sympathy, but seeking to understand. And that's listening first. That's gathering the data. You know, that's getting to know your students. If you're getting to know your students in a way that will prepare you to prepare them for the real world, we've reached new gains. We've reached new heights. And that is where I think we fall short because we teach to the test. We teach in a way that you go. I'm more of a let's go.
Okay.
Let's take this journey together and let's figure out how we can all win. Because at the end of the day, when the child wins, ultimately the teacher has then done their job. And that is where the greatest level of success and thankfulness comes.
Gotcha.
Knowing that that student has been prepared, knowing that that student will soon graduate, because there will be other teachers. There's going to be 12 of them. Well, I'm sorry. You know, when you start getting into high school, you start getting 6 a day or 6 throughout the week because it's block scheduling. But at the same time, we have to leave our mark. And we have to show people that I don't talk to my kids like kids. I don't talk to babies like babies. I talk to young adults. Now, if you want to act like a child, I'll talk to you like a child. But if you want to present yourself in a way that you are looking to grow and develop and you're looking to mature, I will help you and I will give you my entire heart. But if we need to have a tough conversation to get a little bit of grounding in a sense, I don't shy away from them. And I don't think any of us should. But I think the first thing to do, outside, of course, me doing some more studying before I would stand on this stage, is to offer a sense of, hey, meet them in the middle. Or if you got to get them 60 and you get 40 from them, that's okay, because that will blossom. If you cultivate that seed, it will grow. And it's gonna be some rough patches. You know, a couple leaves gonna fall off. It's gonna die a little bit. You have some tough conversations, but if you continue to water it, I guarantee you that child will cross the finish line at some point or another. If you stay on them, you know they will break. You know, they will give you what it is that you seek from them. And we're not talking about getting an A in class. I'm talking about having the understanding that that's a dark alley. I shouldn't walk down that alley. I need to know how to do math in case the cashier at the corner store in the hood tries to short me. I need to make sure I'm prepared. I need to know how to read, not just so I can read a book that doesn't even reflect my identity, but so I can read a contract, a job application, a college application.
There you go.
The newspaper. And these are things that students are supposed to implicitly understand. They're supposed to implicitly connect those dots when it should take their educator to come down from whatever horse that educator may be on, whether it's from a place of privilege or not.
Gotcha.
We have to understand our children and we have to meet them where they are and be the best damn educator that we can for them.
Okay.
That follow.
All right. So, best damn educator. You want your students to succeed. We all hope that all these teachers that we send our kids to on a daily basis have good intentions in their heart, and they want their kids to succeed. I have concerns, especially when it comes to my little Black boys, because I more so often than not hear that they're the ones sent off for disciplinary action. How do we get this to shift?
That was a real loaded question.
I need this to shift because you can't keep treating my boys like this.
Or the young women. You know, young women are suspended at a much, much higher rate than all of the other categories, even Black boys. And it's very stifling, number one. I think it begins with those conversations, you know, those
Mhm.
tough conversations in the teacher's lounge, those tough conversations behind closed doors, but those even tougher conversations in front of the entire staff, you know, or in front of the entire grade level, you know, throughout those lemon squeezes, throughout those DEI conversations. But if they do not happen, then that is a problem, because there are going to be people who continue to operate with this sense of belief that it's okay, it's fine. You know, I can send young Rashad off to the principal's office, suspend him from 5 days, and I bet he'll learn his lesson. But let me give you a little bit of that's not gonna work. You're gonna be eating cereal and watching TV the whole day. You know, and he may think about it. He may have a tough conversation with his parents. Hopefully enough, he comes from a place where there are two parents in the home. Or if not, he gets those words of affirmations and those tough conversations. But let's just call a spade a spade. If that teacher or that administrator does not intervene to find a greater level of a solution, then that problem will only fester.
Gotcha.
Meet another teacher, and he will meet another administrator who will continue to send him home until there will be no need for him to return to school.
It's a vicious cycle. But let me segue, because I want to talk about some of the other wonderful stuff that you're doing. And
okay about that.
Yeah, you know, and I got a little bit of time with you, but I'm gonna try to tie this in here. Now, your first book, King Monty and Are You My PE Teacher, speaks to the importance of having Black male teachers, but also speaks to a stereotype that when we do have Black male teachers, we seem to think that the only thing that they can do is
coach.
Throw
the balls out on recess.
So
help sex ed,
you know,
things that come with physical education.
So when you were starting your journey, is it something that you're steered toward? Why is it that think that's all y'all can do?
It's heartbreaking. It's I remember parent pickups. I remember, especially like in the beginning, when I was just, you know, young whippersnapper, this young Black dude in an elementary school setting in one of the toughest parts of Las Vegas, with a huge high rate per capita of hard drugs. And they used to come up to me and they asked, "Hey, you my kid's PE teacher? Are you the PE teacher? You're the football coach. Oh, you're the flag football coach?" No, I'm the one teaching her how to read. I'm the third grade teacher. I'm Mr. Woodward. It's a pleasure to meet you. Like constantly. And even my second year, you know what I'm saying? People who would be new to the school, because by then they already knew, like, yo, the Black dude, oh no, that's Mr. Woodward. And it's sad that it's the Black dude.
Yeah.
But outside of, you know, janitorial staffs or, you know, the disciplinarian, thankfully there is no really disciplinarian in elementary as there is like a more formal role in middle school or high school, because you know pretty much what color. And you know, that's a big reason. My father, you know, I don't want to go into that, but he once told me, you know, I was the disciplinarian of a school. And he said, "Mike, we had to leave. I got tired of sending young Black boys home. And I got tired of, you know, being a part of the, I don't want you to see me when it's late, when it's too late.
Yeah.
I want to get you in the beginning. I want to be able to curb your thinking, and it's curb your thinking in a way that says like, hey, what are you doing, bro? Because 9 times out of 10, that's really all it takes. If you catch them at the right time, at the right age, the right moment in their lives and in their thinking and in their sense of confusion. We were all teenagers at once. We know we was confused, but we thought we had it all under wraps. But little did we know that we were simply reacting to what our environment presented us with. Well, let me give you a little heads up, Lana. In Miami, that environment that is set to influence your child is not kind.
That's right.
It is not forgiving. That corner store on the corner where you're going to go for some jungle juice, for some honey buns, or it's not kind. That parking lot that you got to walk through where, you know, where the crew is standing. where they're cracking jokes. People, they may be in high school, they may not be in high school, but that is where that influence will hit that child. So if that child is constantly sent home, they are missing out
where they're going to go
on the time of where they can go cognitively, and in so many other ways, but I think it takes those tough conversations, not only alongside our peers and our colleagues and even our administrators, but those conversations must be had with scholars and children of all colors.
Yeah. Teaching is such an impactful job. So many times you hear people say as they go through their journey in life, if it had not been for teacher so-and-so, if it had not been for teacher so-and-so, and sometimes the conversation is, I would not have achieved what I've achieved if it had not been for teacher so-and-so. And sometimes on smaller scales, you hear, teacher so-and-so told me I was never going, and I believe that. So it's so encouraging to see, especially my brothers, putting in the work, building our future generations, and just doing big parts in our kids' future and where they can go. I'm just so excited to see it. But before I go, I want to talk about one more thing you got going on. I can't get it all in, but yeah, just scoot to the side so we can get an array of all of them. Just scoot to the side there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 right there. Okay, yeah. So, and there's some more coming out. We working on some more.
Got number 9. Number 9 is near completion. I just have to work on the dedication page, work on the book summary, get the color palette right for the front, for the cover. Because if you mess up on the cover, then they're not going to want to read it, unless they like you. But if they don't know you and that's all they see, you got that first glance,
especially with kids, and
right. It's got to hook them.
Yeah.
They have to see themselves. I love me some dark-skinned women, but unfortunately, the world is unforgiving to y'all, and it's not fair. Well, damn it, I'll be that one. We'll make it fair, and I'll be that one. to uphold you and to cherish, our dark-skinned men and women and so many others who don't get the love in the representation that they are deserving of. And that is not right, because society cannot tell us what is right, what is wrong, what is acceptable, who is the essence of beauty and who is not. So I look through my inspiration to inspire not only children, but to inspire adults as well. I want parents to read my literature alongside their children. I want them to press them. I want them to ask tough questions. And if I have to spend the time to create a curriculum that will do just that, let's go. Let's finish it. Because so many people ask me, what are the conversations I should be having with my child as we're reading? What should I be saying? What should I be asking? And I'll be like, dog, don't y'all go to the movies? Don't y'all watch Netflix? It's the same thing. The thing about it is, it takes a little bit more imagination. And they have to be able, in the picture books, I lay it out for you. I give you everything. I give you all the facial expressions. I give you all the things that you need to connect the dots. Well, in my novels, they come from a place where you got to use reader's theater. And you have to visually see whatever form of oppression I am presenting in a way that comes off as just Monty getting shorted at the corner store, or Mr. Wood, his teacher, getting downplayed by another teacher. It's all these little things, and it's all these opportunities to just plant seed. I love to plant seeds. I love to just sow and sow and sow, because you don't know what will grow. So as long as we continue to plant the right seeds, then I guarantee you a forest will come about. But it's going to take a village. I cannot do this alone. And that is the pure essence of inspired. That is where it comes from. That parentheses is there for a reason, because inspiration is a two-way street. And I'd be a cornball if I told you I am my greatest inspiration. I think that's the most ridiculous, most self-centered. I am inspired by all of those around me. good, bad, in between. Everybody has something to offer to someone else, whether it is something that will teach you how to make $1 million or whether it's something that will keep you out of jail. So ultimately you can make $1 million. And all of these different things that come about is all a part of my brand and what Inspire the Masses LLC stands for.
Your brand, Inspired Apparel?
Inspired Apparel, it's an umbrella. So
okay.
Inspire the Masses is the LLC, is the umbrella. And within that umbrella, there's Inspired Apparel, where I do my custom work and I like to bring people's ideas into life. But on a much deeper note, I love to write. And there is a problem in our communities and on library shelves across this country. And that is the absence of you and I's identification. That's the problem, because our identity at many times is all we have when we're muted, when we don't have the opportunity to give our voice. All we have is what's perceived.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I am many generations before you, and I grew up with nothing but white teachers standing before me, and then I would go to the library and the books were nothing but white characters. And it took a lot to unpack all of that as you get older. Like, how come where are my folks at? Where am I?
Hold up, Lana. White characters that demean Black characters. Those are in books in our schools right now. And we're not going to drop names or anything. So it's like, not only am I forced to learn how to master one of the most important things to know how to do in this country or in this world, but I also have to engage in content that is misaligned, that is inappropriate, and that leaves me at a place where I am questioning myself and my worth. You can only read about Frederick Douglass and LeBron James so many times. And I can read those stories over and over now, of course. But to a child, nonfiction text is insufficient. And I want to be careful because we all need the truth. We need the truth. Students need to read the truth, but the students need to learn how to imagine. They need to learn how to see things that don't necessarily exist fictitiously. Well, all of my fiction
say it's relatable.
Real. It may be a little exaggerated from here and there, but more importantly, I want that child to be able to have a connection with words that are on the page, as opposed to a place of confusion, a place of hurt. Because I've read books as a child that I knew what they were saying. And I saw the words that they were using. So for the author, for those things to even be presented to children, I think I think it's just hard.
Now, okay, before I get to man, I just ran out of time and I want to talk some more, but I can't talk some more, but oh well. We'll do another thing. Before I do my random question, I do want to mention though, Inspired Apparel, I read, and I'm getting old here, so just correct me. You guys give out scholarships.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that.
So we're doing annual scholarships from Florida A&M with two students. This is under Manhood on the Go, which is created by Iman Sandifer, and it's just an incredible program that really branches out the opportunity for students to get that mentorship that they need. So through his umbrella of Manhood on the Go, he was doing all these scholarship like galas, not like galas, but like during homecoming, he all right, I'm gonna give out 50 scholarships. I'm gonna give out X amount of dollars, to students. And I said, hey man, I need to be a part of this. And this was like in the beginning when I didn't really have much, but it's like, yo, we're gonna like scrape up something. I'm gonna pay for like testing for students to be able to, that praxis examination test is like $100. And as a senior in college, you may or may not have that. So I wanted to make sure I provided a scholarship that at least was able to pay for a couple rounds of testing, that I was able to pay for a book to help you get ready for that test. And it was something that was phenomenal. And it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, even though I never got the opportunity to even go and give the scholarship. You know, one of my closest friends, who's also one of my partners in this, he always, had that moment. And I always just told him, make sure you pull him to the side and tell him like, yo, this is not only where this money comes from, but this is where it needs to go ultimately into your heart so that you can inspire the next generation and find someone else to give some money to who needs it.
Them HBCUs giving back. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Y'all doing the most. All right. Let me do my random question, dear, before we end up in this 4 hours later and we still up here running our mouth. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got for the random question from Mr. Michael here. If your waiter or waitress was a total jerk, do you still leave a tip?
Oh yeah, you always leave a tip. And you always pay for a service in life. I didn't even have to think about that. Now, I'm pulling to the side. We have a tough conversation. I'm gonna tell my date to be like, "We'll meet you in the car." I ain't gonna embarrass them, but we're gonna have a tough conversation. Well, you said rude. I might do it in front of her then. In front of my girl, I might do it in front of her, but no, because that's when emotions get in the way and you miss my point. Mm-hmm. So I like to hold tough conversations in a way where you're not gonna miss my message because we're arguing and we're yelling and no, we're gonna keep it cool. But if it needs to be addressed, it will. Mm-hmm. If a manager needs to be involved, they will, but I like to just go straight to the source. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, yeah, you always leave that tip. You just get, you get the minimum 10%. Gotcha. But like, no, you always pay for a service, you always tip, I always teach, my son's dad and my closest homies, whoever that's doing something for you that they really didn't have to do, like serving you food, shining your shoes, cutting your hair, valeting your car, all these different things. If it's a service, you always tip. They take that up with the Lord.
That's fun. That's fun. Awesome. So when will we be finished with the PhD?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Did you just start it?
No. We're I'm in my last class, comprehensive exams, August 5th and 6th. Dissertation seminar is a three class, 1 credit class. So I should be done by winter of 2022, but the way your committee chair is set up, they can shut it down, they can make it start over. It's a very informal. Okay. You never really know until you get near, I don't know, so I've been telling my family, I think like winter 2022 or possibly spring 2023, but it don't matter. We still gonna finish. We're still gonna, and if anything, the longer it takes me, the more forward I'll be with people like, yo, if I was able to come up with all these books, I ain't trying to really hear nothing of what you're saying, because that's what it's about. You figure out there are 24 hours in a day, you cut that cake how you want to cut it, but you got to eat the whole thing.
That's right.
You'll starve, your family will starve, like all these different things. You have to find a way. And I think there is no room for excuses. You own your mistakes and you hold yourself accountable. And at the end of the day, you learn from them and you reflect and you figure out a way to serve.
Love the spirit, love the soul, love the energy, love what you're doing, love everything times 10. Please tell us how we connect with you, get the books, wait for the 9th one to get out, stand in line for, invitations, because they only give out like 10. So how we stand in line for the invitation to the PhD graduation ceremony, everything. Just tell us how we get in touch with you.
Oh, you can get in touch with me several ways. You can go to michaelwoodwardjr.com. You can find me on Instagram, author M Woodward Jr. You can find me there. I'm sorry, just author M Woodward. michaelwoodwardjr.com is the best place. It'll lead you to Inspired Apparel .shop. It'll lead you to my contact form. Reach out, whatever I can do to serve, however I can play a part of a child's life, whether I'm living on a nightstand in a bedroom or if I'm living on a library shelf throughout the entire school district. We're gonna find a way to right this wrong, because there isn't enough. Mm-hmm. And currently what is in arm's reach for our children is insufficient. Mm-hmm. So we must continue to create this rift and to expose, these inequities that are present within books across this country.
Awesome. Well, I just truly appreciate you. Well, let me take this. Let me reel this back. I appreciate the ancestors that came before you that instilled the mindset, the drive, the passion, the need to give back, the servant mindset in you. So I appreciate them. And now I appreciate you for the man that you are and all that you are doing. Just wonderful things. And I truly enjoyed my time. And I thank you for carving out this space in your life for me. I mean, you can't get it back. So it's a gift you gave to me, and I truly appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best.
I thank you again, Lana. And we live to serve. That's what it all boils down to. And, you know, to all of your listeners and followers, you know, make sure you could just continue to remind them that we all have a purpose in this life. You just got to find it. Sometimes it might fall out of the sky. Sometimes somebody might push you into that purpose, but it is our responsibility to push ourselves into God's purpose. And it's through whatever passion, whatever it is that we are good at, we must find that and figure out a way to manipulate it in a sense that it carries the next generation. I'm just so thankful again, and I will never, ever quit on this journey. It's our mess.
Awesome. Well, that is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time. Oh.